Please tell me what it is with French developers hating gamers. Why do they always have to make really hard games? That is a question I had to ask myself the day I found out that Amazing Studios were French. Why is this important? Well, because Amazing Studios are the masterminds behind the game we'll be talking about today, that game being Heart of Darkness, which released for the PlayStation and PC in 1998. When I was a bear cub, I had Heart of Darkness. When I was a child, I would agree with everyone who said this game is extremely hard. I don't even remember if I actually completed this game as a child, because it was a bit much for me at times. What I remember about it was the great opening, how beautiful it was, as well as hating how it played. I really couldn't tell you how far I got in the game, but I potentially put hundreds of hours into it over my PS1's entire lifespan. Regardless of how far I did or didn't get though, one thing was for sure, and that was that it stuck with me for the entirety of my life so far. Out of all the PS1 games I had, and I had a few to be fair, I never did forget at least the opening section of Heart of Darkness, which I must have played constantly. I was pretty bad at gaming when I was a kid, so the cutscene, the first level, yeah, I must have seen that quite a lot. So, recently, I've been taking a bash at retro achievements. Here's my page if anyone wants to follow me. Mr. DJ and his community have been doing a retro achievement challenge, and I thought, why the heck not? I'm a bear in my mid to late 30s, and I love a bit of retro. So armed with Feeder's Redeems of Altered Beast, Golden Axe, and the Smurfs for the SNES, as well as that week's challenge for Castle of Illusion, I booted up retro achievements in the Heatwave, finished Castle of Illusion, which apparently was really easy for me. I couldn't beat that game as a kid. I beat it in like 2 hours on stream. Then I got bored of
Rise from your grave,
and decided to really show my stream how much I hated life in the middle of a heatwave. So I put on Heart of Darkness. Also, I'm gonna have to stop calling it a heatwave. It looks like British summer is just gonna be about 30 degrees, and living in a coastal town and having high humidity, I'm just gonna complain about being warm now. It's not a heatwave. I grew up in England hoping it would always be raining. Apparently not. Apparently now it's heat. Always heat. In between all the jokes about how hard the game is and how I'd never complete it, I remembered exactly why I bloody loved it as well. No matter how frustrating it got, the nostalgia hit me so very hard. By the end of the next stream, I had completed the entire game, and it did leave me wondering why it had such a bad reputation amongst retro gamers compared to, say, the Oddworld games. Both were precision platformers with wonderful artwork and silly 3D cutscenes, but one is remembered extremely fondly, and the other is, well, it's Heart of Darkness. What is it about this silly French game that made people groan to hear it mentioned in any kind of conversation? Other than it's French, that's a reason and a half enough to groan about anything. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Annakuma, and today I'm going to tell you all about my time with Heart of Darkness. It actually just jumped to the front of the queue of videos I want to make because my absolute love for the game came back even bigger after finally, for all I remember, completing the game. Today I'll tell you why I don't think it is as hard as some say it is, as well as telling you why I think it has such a bad reputation in the first place. But I'm not telling you that now, else you won't watch the rest of the video. Like, comment, and subscribe to help my videos get noticed, because that is all that gives me life today, and I might actually tell you the answer to these questions. I also might not tell you the answers to the questions. I don't know where I go with this script, who knows? Also, when I say bad reputation, I don't mean that people hate the game, they just seem to only remember frustration. Much like Rayman, it holds a specific memory in people's minds of just losing their temper at a silly little game that was meant to bring you peace and joy. People reply to, I'm gonna play Heart of Darkness with a, why do you want to do this to yourself, instead of I love this game. Wait till you hear the story of its development though. It is a pretty interesting story. You see, the game actually started development in 1992, a whole 6 years before it was finally released. It outlived two of the consoles that it was meant to release for, the 3DO and the Sega Saturn. It was originally picked up by this channel's favourite, Virgin Interactive, who had their fingers in a lot of point-and-click pies back then in the day, but even Virgin gave up on it and dropped them in the end. A demo releasing in 1997 got Interplay involved with the project, and it finally released for the PC and PlayStation in the next year of 1998. I'm kind of sad it didn't release for the Saturn though. The Saturn along with the Dreamcast are two of my favourite consoles. Yes, I'm a Sega girl, I know Nintendo fanboys like to tell me that I was poorly raised because I didn't have the Nintendos, but I love Sega. I genuinely had so many interesting titles for the Saturn as well, like the Blazing Dragon game and the FMV Frankenstein game with Tim Curry in it. I keep mentioning that one. That might be an October video, guys. It was a great little console, and I do remember fondly all the times I had playing it before the Dreamcast came, and I forgot about it and played the Dreamcast all the time, because the Dreamcast had Shenmue on it, and I love Shenmue. When Heart of Darkness finally released, though, there was a feeling of, was it really worth all that wait? Still, it looks amazing. They had created a beautiful world that, yeah, to a point is a very barren-looking area, but the 3D models, the cutscenes rendered in 3D studios, as well as the wonderful backgrounds gave the game so much character. Working on the game was actually so exhausting that Eric Chahai, and I know I butchered that name, but he also worked on Another World, which is apparently a really big game that I'd never heard of, that everyone in my chat liked to tell me about, had to take a hiatus from gaming and only came back in 2011. So maybe even some of the people who worked on it agree it is a bit of a nightmare. So what did we get when it finally released? Well, let me show you the opening cutscene and we shall see, okay?
Sleeping in my class in broad daylight. Well, let's see if you're more alert in the dark. You can spend the rest of the hour in the cupboard.
You can't shut me up in there. I know my rights. My uncle's a lawyer.
And mine's a judge. Get in there. Oh, wow. Afraid of the dark? Come back here this minute, young man.
No way, Jose.
There's an eclipse of the sun today. There'll be a test about it tomorrow. I'm warning you!
Freedom! Yippee! Hey, whiskey! Cowboy! Wanna wear my hat again? There. Huh? Hey, come on, Whiskey! Hurry up or we'll miss him! Look, the eclipse! Wow! energy rations, apple, a camera, and don't forget the friskies. Ah, great.
Ten seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activate.
Wow, it works! Hang on, Whiskey, I'm coming! What the heck was that? Whoa! No!
Andy, we have a problem here.
I know! Oh no, shoot!
Andy, we have
Okay. Ugh. You're a big help, you know that?
Guys, I will not lie to you, this blew Kid Me's mind back in the day. I still think it looks super cool to this day. It has so much character and charm to it. The weird 3D models and their strange proportions, the wacky way they move around the screen, all the little details they put into the models, just make the opening scene and all the cutscenes that follow stick with you. They are kind of funny to watch, but they obviously have a lot of heart put into them. They tell the story of this kid here, Andy. His dog Whiskey here has been kidnapped by, well, these guys. And these things? Also these guys. And this much nastier looking guy. Look, you ain't getting Shakespeare in this game, I'm sorry to tell you. Maybe that was one of the problems the game did have when it released. With such a long wait, people wanted something more than they got. I was like 9 when this game came out. The lack of coherent story did not bother me, especially not in 1998. I only got the small hint that Andy was scared of the dark. Honestly, being shoved in a cupboard was terrifying on its own. It didn't bother me though, I just wanted the adventure, and this cutscene genuinely made me excited for the adventure coming my way. Hell, by 1998, I had so many point and clicks, I didn't need my platformers giving me tons of story. I just put on Broken Sword or Blazing Dragons, or indeed Pajama Sam, and learn about the dark that way. I'm not even joking with you though. I had so much fun reliving this on stream. Seriously, just give me more janky 3D in 2026. It's absolutely perfect the way it is. So yeah, once more, the story. Andy is afraid of the dark. He's in trouble with his teacher for not paying attention in class. Before being locked in a cupboard, he runs out when the bell rings, just to find his dog Whiskey waiting for him outside. They then go to the park to watch the solar eclipse, just for Whiskey to be kidnapped by, well, something I guess. Andy is very sad. Andy then runs home to his treehouse, ignoring his mum who wants to talk about what happened at school. He then jumps into his homemade spaceship. This kid has his own spaceship. He then flies up to the Darklands because he just knows how to get there, before crashing into a cliff, and here we are, ready to start the game. Time to talk about the gameplay then, and I have a lot to say about it. By 2026 standards, it plays pretty horribly. Honestly, I can understand why people don't enjoy it. That being said, I do think it isn't as bad as you will hear people say it is. I mainly think the problem is you kind of have to learn it and how sensitive the inputs can be. I've already said the game plays much like Oddworld games, and I really do mean that. These games want you to be precise. They want you to learn exactly how to path your way through levels as precisely as you can with the movement controls they give you. Thing is, as a kid, I played Oddworld on the PC and had a much better time with it than I did with Heart of Darkness on the PlayStation. And that is because Heart of Darkness is just that tiny bit more rigid in the input controls. Andy here will move across this 2D plane using the D-pad to move along. This gives you 8 directions that Andy can move in, as well as 8 directions he can aim his attacks in. Now, I'll give them that the inputs on the D-pad are very responsive. When he is walking, Andy will respond to anything you input into the control. He'll come to a stop pretty much instantly, but if you run using the square button, then he does slide a little bit when he's stopping his movement, which makes some timings trickier later in the game. That being said, he is slower to react when climbing walls or swimming, which I'm not upset about or surprised with. I do feel that's an understandable clunkiness to the game. He has to think a little more about his movements when not on his feet. Also, let me take this moment to say the amount of work that went into animations on Andy is great. His little stop at the end of his sprint, the way he swims around the place, as well as his climbing animation are fantastic. Tons of effort went into actually making it look like he's genuinely holding on to the handholds around him, and whilst it isn't perfect, you can see why this game took so long to create. Andy himself is a bit of a tank though. You have your jump on the X button. When moving forward, he will do a little leap forward. When standing still, he can do a double jump that has this great little animation, but the jump feels much more heavy than any other action he does, and jumping will be where you lose your mind. You will often feel like you've jumped, but the animation just took too long to start up, or else it eats your input and you just don't jump at all. As there are many movement puzzles where you have to react fast, the jump action isn't as fast to react as you'd like it to be. Then you have combat, and this might be the worst part of the game by far. My personal problem with combat is the aiming. Because you only have 8 directions to aim in, very often whatever you are aiming at will end up in a blind spot, and there is nothing you can do about that. I will talk about this later on when we get to the sections and enemies that really show how much of a struggle this can be, but yeah, the combat was horrible. You need to go into this game knowing you will die though, over and over and over again. This game is not afraid to kill you. It finds fun ways to kill you, but you will die. You are not getting through this game on first try without dying many a time. So that may have put you off a little bit, but the difficulty in learning the sections and getting the inputs correct is nicely balanced with extremely kind checkpoints. When playing, you can just kind of feel when the next checkpoint is. The sections are usually very short, and after you've done a few screens, you can just feel that the game is going to be kind to you and let you restart here if you die. It also moves away from the arcade and rental feeling of games of this era, and you have infinite tries, so you never have to restart from a save or worry about a game over or losing all your lives or anything like that. I don't think I ever felt the game was being unfair. I do think some sections got padded out with annoying things, which we'll get into when we get to them, but it never felt unfair. Like anything of this sort, it felt amazing when you figured out a puzzle or a tough movement section. With that all said, let's get on with the game. As soon as Andy gets out of his spaceship, the ship will instantly blow up. There is no going back. Not that Andy will leave without whiskey, but how's he getting back home? Who knows? Who cares? Onwards. Heart of Darkness will not hold your hand, but it does give you this first section to get used to all of the movement. All of the button inputs are in the manual because it is an old PS1 game, obviously, so you won't be told what to do in game, but the game does have a sweet little menu with controls in their options, plus just pressing the buttons will teach you the basics anyway. Actually, that's the point. I haven't said anything about the options. When you click on options, it will take you to this screen, and I really like this. I don't know why this was just not the opening section anyway. Was this a thing with PlayStation games? I feel like even PlayStation 2 games had this. You had to press start, and then you'd have to press another button, then you'd get into an option menu like this. It is really pretty. Didn't need the front page. Just press start and go to this. At first, Andy has a laser gun that he apparently has made himself as well as the spaceship. Actually, I need to ask, how is he not the science teacher's pet? This kid is like Duncan from Stranger Things. He should be besties with the teacher, not falling asleep in his class. How is a kid that's so uninterested in school this smart? I mean, I was smart and uninterested in school. Very often, very smart kids don't like school because they feel it's beneath them. But like, he should be friends with this teacher. I don't get it. Anyway, the laser gun, that's what I'm talking about. This laser is just your first look at combat. Andy cannot move when he is shooting. He must stand still, meaning that you really have to sit still and think about where you are shooting, or when it is a good idea to move again. You can re-angle yourself as you shoot though. I personally like to crouch and shoot at their feet. Many enemies will duck and jump to get out of your way, so being able to move your aim is helpful, and often you get lucky just shooting at their feet. You'll come face to face with these little guys who can grab you. Pressing left and right will swing them off you. The first one you meet seems to have more health than they usually have, purely so that it can grab you and teach you how to get them off you. Also, things that cast shadows can also bring evil things out of their shadows. They can also kill you or knock you off of things, so you just need to shoot the item casting the shadow to get rid of them. In fact, the shadow concept is something that I believe was never truly developed in the game. It pops up from time to time, but it honestly could have been a massive part of this game. It's called Heart of Darkness for a reason. You kind of guess that the bad guys are all shadow creatures, but actually having shadows come to life and kill you is something that you could have expanded on greatly, and is very rarely used in the game. Andy can also climb up walls. It is worth looking at the background for things that look like handholds or ladders made out of the world itself to climb up and down. Here though, when you climb up, you come face to face with this guy. And if you stand still and don't move, he will eat you as well. Taking away your power to fight is actually a really good idea at this point. It gave you a chance to look at how combat will be, then shows that sometimes it's actually better just to run away. Heart of Darkness is a game of learning. You need to learn what is the best course of action at any given time. Sometimes the best course of action won't be to fight. Sometimes you will have to, but now that you've got a taste of the combat, it forces you to really think about how you move. I think this small section also kind of teaches you something that you don't necessarily notice, and that's that sometimes obstacles can't just be walked past. Sadly, you both do need to know that, but also don't want to depend on it. That's because many enemies will just pick you up and eat you. You have learned that they will grab hold of you and you can shake them off, but lots of the shadow beasts actually have one-hit deaths, so you don't want to be running into packs of them too often. It is always worth stopping and thinking about what you are doing, even when you can't really stop and think about it. I know that doesn't make sense, but it will make sense later. Much like Oddworld, there are areas where you will be chased, and the timing on these sections are tight, but they're well enough timed that you can just outrun them. You will be able to stop in time to sneak on something, you will be able to make that jump without losing time. Again, the game is extremely fair, you just need to keep going. You'll even see the enemies stop to scratch their head to think about what to do next. They gave you plenty of time to do everything. Nothing's too tight that you have to be exactly perfect at that thing. That didn't make sense, I'm keeping it in though, it makes sense to me. Now to the bit I hated. Our final obstacle in this area is learning how to climb, then jump as you climb. That might not sound hard, and it isn't hard, but your biggest problem in 2026 is that if you don't have the manual, you don't know how to grab hold of another handhold after jumping. You see, when you jump from one wall to the other, you have to continue to press down the jump button. Andy will not hold on to something unless you are pressing down on that button, and as the game only gives you hints if you keep dying, there is a chance you just won't know that. I personally had to go and Google it in the middle of stream. It seems a pretty common question that is asked, so don't feel stupid if you've ever played the game and didn't pick up on that. Like anything though, as soon as you understand what they want you to do, you'll be golden and there'll be no more problems. After that, it's just learning the sections. As I've just said, climbing can feel clunky and jumping off of walls can also feel bad. Andy will reach out to the sides and at that point you can jump. Any other time and he potentially won't. You can also jump across just in general, but I never really did as you kind of lose control of the situation. I'm just not good at that. But also, as long as you keep holding the jump button, if you start to fall, you can hold onto a handhold below you, as long as there's a handhold there to be grabbed, and not something that's going to kill you. You also have this cool bit in this climbing section, where you can't jump over to the skeleton to climb up that, and you can't reach the next climbing section either, so instead you jump to destroy the platform you're on, and get saved by the tail of the skeleton. This doesn't happen again in the game, but it does get you ready to just do things that seem dangerous, because sometimes the dangerous things you do are actually the solution to the puzzle, as crazy as that sounds. Very often, at the end of the game, you'll be jumping into holes and just hoping for the best. Also, the skull of the dinosaur will close on you, so again, getting you ready to make instant calls on what you are doing next, else you'll potentially die. Nice. Right, now you have climbed to the top of this mountain and get another absolutely beautiful cutscene.
Quiet worm, you know what I'm doing. Give me wall, Master! Guess not. Oh, goody! You saved my life! Idiot! The Master waits! I'm getting too old for this. Oh, Master! Oh, Supreme Master, all doom, blackness, and despair. Me, I'm but a miserable crawling worm in the presence of your royal darkness, but you know how much I enjoy slaving for you. I could say I'm a jerk and a bloodthird, but I love being right here. Oh, Master, the money's not great, but I've managed to find you the perfect present, an offering to show you my undying devotion. A nice little gift from...
Silence! Now what have you got in the sack? I hope for your sake it's the Earth Boy you promised me.
Bring me the sack, you idiot! I could do all by myself, really!
No more dumb signing here.
Oh, goody! Oh, this is going to be such fun!
Open it.
And here's...
Imbecile!
Please, Master! Maybe it's the boy in disguise! Oh no! Not the wall again! No! Oh, makes a change.
Master, the boy's in your kingdom. Get him!
Yeah, this pink guy's called Vicious. Neither him nor the Dark Lord will be much of a threat, but they show up in cutscenes to remind you of the danger. What danger? I don't know. The most danger in this game tends to be the inputs, but they have whiskey. Spoiler alert, you never really find out why he wants us or what he plans on doing with us. The story, as I said, is not well done, but you kind of just go about it and enjoy the silly cutscenes. Back in the game, and we're in the swamplands. First up, let us stop and just look at all the work on the backgrounds and foregrounds. It's so beautiful, and yes, as I've said, it becomes very barren at some points, but I think even the barren areas have so much detail added to them. Look at these plants moving and stuff swinging in the breeze. I'm a sucker for worlds that feel like real worlds, and there was a lot put into making this whole planet feel alive. We're still in learning mode though. Our first obstacle is learning that you can jump and grab things to pull them down. This vine here can be grabbed to open this gate, for example. You can also swing from vine to vine as well, having to jump on them, then jump at the end of the swing to get off them again. Easy enough. Then you'll be introduced to these plants. These come in various shapes and sizes. Well, actually no, they all look pretty much the same, but they have different ways of getting past them. If there are green orbs, the plants will eat them and give you a second to jump or run over them. Some can be crawled under, some can be run past. There is no rhyme nor reason to how to get past them sometimes. You just have to experiment and hope for the best. Meaning very often when you come face to face with these plants, you're probably going to die at least once to figure out what kind of plant they are. These plants will eat you, and you will at least be eaten once in-game. I'm not joking. This plant in this cave is one of those things you'll be lucky not to accidentally run into his grabby little range. That is for a second though, because first we are introduced to the flying guys. This is the only time I believe they ever try to grab at you, but I love the fact that you have to time ducking in the water to get out of their grab, and they even have the splashes for the water as well. Yeah, Heart of Darkness has a big problem with introducing cool ideas, then never going anywhere with it. There are lots of mechanics that they have happen once before never reusing it again in the game. They could have had a gauntlet of lots of these mechanics at the end, but they pick... Well, no, actually, let me wait before I complain about the ending. We'll leave that till the actual ending. With that disappointing news though, here is something I really love about the game. There are layers to the level design. For example, this puzzle here has multiple parts to it. If you go to the right, you'll see this dangling vine. You need to pull that down to rid yourself of a plant up on the top of the level, which means climbing to the second level and doing a running jump off onto it to pull it down. That being said, having removed it, you still need to go to the right, which is this scary cave with the very scary plant in it. Wait till this guy's eaten a glowing orb, then you can jump into this big green thing to produce more orbs. Yeah, even the manual doesn't have names for enemies and stuff, so you're gonna get me calling them guys and dudes and plants and things. There's just no name for anything that I can see. If you go back 2 screens, you can climb up to the top of this area, pause to appreciate the swinging vine in the wind, because this is really cool and I loved it, then head to the right to this cave. If you hadn't used the green thing down below, no orbs will be able to get up here as the hungry plant down below eats them all. But because we have been down there, now they do have some orbs that they can eat. When the first plant doesn't eat, you can jump over and run under this plant to get to the next part of this puzzle. Just you can miss the input and die falling down this hole. Or run too fast and miss the stopping point and fall off this ledge into the plant here. It is all about perfect timing, and whilst this puzzle is a little on the longer side due to it having multiple layers, it never feels too bad having to redo it to learn it. But it does show you how different every plant seems to react to things. Some can be ran through, some can't be, but you'll never know which it is until you've died at least once to them. Levels loop around on each other as well, all the time. It's like each area is made up of an equal amount of blocks in a small rectangle or square, and things that happen on one screen can affect another screen. Sometimes you see an area that you can't reach, and that is because you actually reach it from another screen later on and just come back around on yourself. Heart of Darkness is very much tightly designed, and I really enjoy that about the game. This is where the game really starts to ramp up though. It has taught you enough, and it's time for you to go off on your own with what you have learned. Kind of. There are some other things it does teach you. After getting through all this, you'll have to push a block out of your way and take a bit of a tumble. Another one-time puzzle will see you swinging from side to side to grab this stake, before the big water snake pops up to eat you. This is something that could have really been used quite a lot, but for some reason just isn't even in the game ever again. Slowly walking out of the swamp will be enough to stop yourself being eaten, and it is all that you can do really because you can't even run in the swamp water anyway. With that done, you are nearly out of the swamp. You just have to climb up this tree and save your new friend.
Hello there. I'm Andy.
Andy!
Huh?
Surprise!
That was neat. Are you an acrobat?
Acrobat!
What's your name?
Amigo!
Amigo what?
Amigo, amigo!
Boy, what a scary place.
Dark Kingdom! Whoa! No go!
Look out!
This is Amigo. Who is Amigo? Well, this blind guy. Does he ever help? Depends on what you class helping as. Is he important? As important as anyone turns out to be in this game. What Amigo does right now is drop us in the water, and as you can instantly die in the water, we don't have time to worry too much about Amigo and have to keep moving. Again, this is something that Heart of Darkness does a lot, leaving you in extremely dangerous places as soon as the cutscene is over, very often resulting in death just as you load into the screen. As I said earlier, Andy takes his time a little when it comes to swimming. It isn't as fluid as when he's walking around, and that is fair. Getting away from the fireballs can be done first try, but you're likely to die to them at least once, and then learn that you should be swimming down. Now, as I've already said again, I'm on retro achievements, and this game has an achievement for not drowning or being eaten by plants. I never think I'll get that, as I can't do this section without dying a lot, but I don't ever drown either. Andy can hold his breath for a long time, but apparently you can drown, so make sure to go to all the air pockets when you see them. This one in particular is nice. I guess if you try to complete the area, you drown, but you see it on top of another part of the level and loop back around to it. Again, looping level design like this just makes me happy. I know where to go to avoid death. For a water level, it's actually really well done as well. I'm not joking about that. Usually underwater areas aren't that fun to play through, as they try to simulate the feeling of being underwater, I guess. With this being a 2D game, you don't need the extra difficulty of sinking and rising in the water, and whilst changing directions isn't the easiest at times, the game never asks you to do a total 180 to solve the puzzles in this area either. Sadly, the water area is a one-time thing, like most things in the game. Then again, it is a good area as well, so maybe that's for the best. First up, you need to swim down here and touch this green thing. If you swim to the right, the next area is all blocked up, but touching this green meteor will give you powers and just instantly move that obstruction from your tunnel. This is where you'll have to start your journey through the tunnels. For most of the game, your attack will be this green superpower given to you by the meteor. Circle is the attack, whilst triangle is now a charged attack. Holding down circle will let you hold your attack to aim, whilst you will need to press down triangle to charge your blast. Some enemies need to be stunned, the shadow creatures that you are killing with your energy gun will still be killed, and sometimes you need to move rocks and other obstructions with the charge. Easy enough. You'll also start to find these seeds. Andy can move these seeds either by kicking them along, shooting them, or crawling and booping them with his nose, I guess. But what is the point of them? Well, one charge attack to the seed will grow a tree, and the tree is climbable. That is their use. They can also be thrown into the water, and the water current will move them for you, which again gives a lot of depth to the puzzles you'll be solving in this area. Even if the seeds don't really play much of a part going forward afterwards, nothing ever does. They are still around though, and have one or two unique uses to them, but mainly they're the big puzzle set piece for the underwater area. Oh, and there are now shadow piranhas that will eat you, and these big pot plants that will suck you or blow you away. Then the much less crazy plants that hold out tentacles and will also eat you like the pot plants do, because they do eat you if you get close to their face. What can I say? Everything in Darkland wants you dead. Mostly, what you'll be doing when actually in the water is swimming through long and winding tunnels. You can't shoot underwater, so this is all about timing and finding the correct path through each and every screen. It also had the one screen that I instantly knew where to go, but then couldn't quite tell if I was correct, because the hole to get into was so close to the plant that I couldn't help but be sucked into it. Like, it looks obvious to go down here, right? But if you struggle to get the angle right, it could just feel like you shouldn't be going there. That is one of my complaints about the game. I feel it was one of those times where the designers probably played through the levels so much that they were very well aware of the precise angle and intricate timing you needed to get through places like this. But sometimes the enemy placement could do with being a little less aggressive. This isn't hard, but having it up just a smidge wouldn't have hurt either. But I guess that is what the joy of this game is. When you do get the timing just right, it feels so good to have gotten it right. Like this tunnel here, I love this tunnel. It is as simple as going as soon as the first plant is done and not stopping for anything, but when you whip through it at the highest speed Andy could muster, you feel like a god. The same could be said of certain puzzles as well. Honestly, when things click in this game, they click hard. It's such a good feeling to finally understand exactly what the game wanted you to do all along. You have to be precise, think fast, be careful with your movements, as well as which buttons you are touching as you navigate the world. I'm a clumsy kind of bear, and it made me feel good knowing that even when I'm fat-fingering my D-pad in the middle of the British summer, or what I like to call the end time of the world via heat death, that even I can get through some of these tight-timed areas. Your next big puzzle is going to let you really test out your new powers though. These Venus flytrap type enemies are back, and if you hit them with your attack, they will be dazed for a few seconds, letting you get past them. Just in this room, you can't actually attack all of them, so taking out this one will let you jump and grab onto the wall, but where next? Well, be careful, because some enemies can be hidden just off screen like this dude here behind the foreground. You will also need to be stunned before you can escape this area. Now though, let me introduce you to the worst enemy type in the game, worms. These buggers are fast, they pop out of the wall randomly, and at the slightest hint of charging up either of your attacks will disappear. They jump from hole to hole, usually come in packs of 3 or 4, and are hard to kill. At the same time though, they barely have to pop out of the hole to eat you, and because things do not reset when you go from screen to screen, they can't just be there at the bottom of one screen as you climb up to it, and you die before you even know what happened and loaded in properly. Fun. They also are one of the enemies that are hardest to hit, because of you having so many blind spots with your aiming. With them quickly zooming in and out of holes, you don't get much of a chance to aim a shot at them, but 9 times out of 10, they are going to be somewhere you can't reach either way, so that's not fun to deal with. You could potentially speedrun through this by jumping along the walls. I'm not good enough to do that, so sitting next to or on top of one of the holes and hoping for the best was my main way of dealing with the worms. I genuinely hated the worms. Oh my goodness! There's more bugs up here. Oh my god, the two of them together! Fuck me up! One of my favorite puzzles in this game is in this level though, and that is this one here. You land on the screen just to see a seed floating in the water, a tree over on the other side of the screen, and the piranha fish down below. There is a platform in the middle of all of this and a tunnel underneath you, but if you jump in, the fish will eat you. So what to do? Well, you could go to the left first, clear it out of the shadow guys before stunning this plant on the wall, and then turning this tree back into a tree. Going up will see you pushing a boulder below this plant just to have to crawl under it. Now, deal with those damn worms, because why not put worms anywhere and any place you can now? Why not? People love worms. No one loves worms. After dealing with them, you'll go down a screen. Then swim here on the right through this tunnel. You see, this tunnel stretches all the way back to the main room, and in that room, it is blocked up. After pushing the blockage out of the way, you can swim back to the left, always keeping a healthy distance from the fish, and climb back up. You then just have to make your way back up and around to set the seed that was floating in the water is now on the platform. Hitting it at a diagonal will see it turn into a tree. You can then jump from tree to get to the other side. Just make sure to turn this tree into a seed so that you can bring the seed with you. Pushing it back into the water on the right side of the screen will have it displace the one in the center of this screen, giving you a way out when you turn both into trees. On stream, this took me a little while to figure out as I slowly went screen by screen, figuring out each step. First, I thought maybe I could complete it just on this screen alone. Then I went to the left to figure out what was happening there. It took me a few tries to realize I could crawl under the plant. But when it all came together, I thought the way it was presented and how you end up finishing this puzzle was really smart. I felt smart figuring it out. My chat, well, Neil in my chat, had fun trying to figure it out as well. I never felt cheated. I never felt like they were withholding information. It was about trial and error. What doesn't work? Where can I go and where can't I go? What are the limitations of each and every enemy I'm coming across? Honestly, it was very clever. I really enjoyed this puzzle. It is one of the best crafted puzzles in the entire game. When you figure it out though, you get to loop back around on the level and out to a combat wave. Now, these happen from time to time, and they can come in two different versions. One will be waves and waves, always respawning and coming at you, and you need to make a gap to run through it. Others, like this, will feel like wave after wave coming at you, but will actually eventually end up ending, just needing you to be patient to clear the screen before you can continue. These sections slow down the pace, give a little variety in what you're doing, and whilst I personally think they're the worst part of the game, they're still alright. There's nothing egregious about them. They could do with having a little less in them, or an obvious indication of whether you can clear the area or not, but they are fun for the most part. After finishing this, you'll climb up here to get the next cutscene.
Amigos! Amigas!
Lola? Hey! Are you crazy?
Crazy.
Hey, amigo!
No
Help!
worry, no flight. We no eat meat. We vegetarians.
Wow! That's for me, I'm starved! I could eat a horse!
No touch, no touch. Last food. Last food. Share horse.
Wait! I got a better idea!
Horse tree, Andy, huh? Eat horse, eat horse.
And that's the whole story, guys. As you can see, I've got big problems. I mean, here I am, fake strike in the middle of nowhere. I got whiskey in the hands of flying skeletons, and you guys are my only amigos. Yeah, you're my only hope. You've got to help me sneak into the Darkland without being seen, and somehow get whiskey.
Need speak loud, head honcho.
Oh, Grand Honcho. Oh, Grand Honcho. Talk to us now, your words of wisdom.
I know why you come. My vision eye sees all there is. Looky. I draw my vision, just like you, huh? You fly from sky to find amigo like this. Wow! Wow! You go to find dog, amigo. You must not leave. Great danger there. Great danger there. Here, I protect you with my great magic. Dark forces never come. If so, tic-tac-toe. Me voodoo magic. Look. Great Honcho says evil bones never come here. I have spoken!
Get up, Andy! Get up! Evil bones attack village! Much bad here! You go!
Look out! Watch!
Here! Don't worry! I come!
When it ends, you do have to instantly move, because like in the water, you will instantly die if you don't. Oh my goodness! Let's go back and look at the cutscene though, as it is one of the bigger ones in the game. Once more, this game's story is nothing to write home about. Andy wants his dog back, that's it. None of the characters he meets gets explanations or any real decent story behind them, but Migo and his friends do have this slight story going on, and they are very charming, so it's always funny to watch them. Amigo's friends are starving. They have one apple left, so Andy turns it into a tree. Instead of maybe giving Andy more apples to make into an orchard of some kind, they just start eating them, and you can instantly tell why they were out of food, as this guy feels like he's about to eat everything there is on this tree. Also, there is only one female in this group that I noticed, and she does have her tits out. This guy also just sits and scratches his dick for no reason as well. They are wild. I like them. You have this gag where the village elder explains he knows that Andy is here, but he's looking for his dog, but instead of showing a picture of a dog, he holds up a picture of a sexy whatever these guys are. He then goes on to tell Andy he'll be safe here because he does voodoo, and he won't let the bad guys attack, just the bad guys do attack. Honestly, these cutscenes are just adorable. Pure comedy. Peak comedy. And they just look so cool. I love this. I know it's 2026 and games look so much more realistic now, but I love this so much more than anything else. This just gives me joy. I love the expressions they put on these characters' faces, the silly things they do, and just how they have absolutely nothing to do with anything you are doing. Andy just kind of goes along with them because, well, mostly because Amigo does keep saving his life, so he doesn't have much of a choice. As I said, the village does have a small tale to tell, but it doesn't really impact us other than moving us from area to area, as Amigo will pick us up and drop us randomly all the time. This is the end of Disc 1 though, and as I've already pointed out, loading into Disc 2 puts you straight in the line of fire from these guys' fireballs. Now you already have known that the Flying Boys have these magic attacks, but this is the first time you'll really have to deal with them. Thankfully, they are stuck with the same problem you have. They only have 8 directions they can fire in as well, meaning if they are firing at you, there is a good chance you are in a position to hit them back. That being said, this is where the D-pad can hinder you if, like me, you are fat-fingered and more used to the stick these days than pads. You see, if you're pressing down, then just roll your finger left, hoping that Andy will stand up and run away, then sometimes, yeah, he will. Others, no, he won't. Once or twice, he'll turn and slowly crawl away. That's because the game remembers what the first input is, so if it thinks you still want to be down, it isn't going to change that for you. But also, sometimes you just end up running the wrong way into the fireballs, or jumping into them, or running into a wall that blocks you. Sometimes there's just so much going on in the game and you don't have the brain storage to know where to go. A lot of deaths in this game that aren't input problems will just be blind panic or I didn't see that coming. This does elevate the flying guys to one of the more annoying enemy types, but to be fair, I feel they tend to be fairly placed, and if anything, I'd remove other enemies from their screens, because they are worrisome enough, but the huge waves of other shadow-like beings are usually what takes too much time away from trying to deal with these guys. But man, those blind spots, and the fact that things dodge your attacks does get grating at times. Don't get me wrong, I like that they dodge, it's kind of fun, but when there's so many things on screen you have to kill, having them dodge everything, it gets frustrating. In escaping, one of these flying guys will destroy the bridge you are standing on, which has you falling down. You will automatically grab hold of the bridge though, as this is a story beat, and have to kill just one flying guy on your right. When you know he's there, he'll be easy to take out no matter how many times you have to come back to the checkpoint. Now for more climbing. So I briefly talked about the concept of shadows in this game, and this is one of the only places that deal with the shadows. These tree branches will have shadows that will grab you and make you let go of what you're holding. Again, just pressing down jump button will mean as long as there's something below you to hold on to, you will be able to grab hold of that and save yourself from death. This is one of the only places that actually do this, though. You also have a moment where Andy's shadow pushes something out of the way in this area, and I think that might be the only time I remember ever having him do that. It's crazy that he added this really cool, unique idea of shadows themselves being alive, then barely do anything with it. In fact, I wouldn't even say barely don't do anything with it, they just don't do anything with it. So many cool concepts are explored in this game, but then only used once or twice. For a game that was in developmental hell for long enough to make someone take a decade-and-a-half hiatus from game design, they sure did waste so many good ideas they had once or twice before never bothering with them again. I personally dislike this area though, and let me show you why. even like got the two of them together. Fuck me up. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. There's more bugs up here. No! That fucking sucks! So a quick note here, the reason why a lot of the first half of the game, or at least the first half of what I played, is cut up from my Twitch VOD, is because it's evidence of when you learn a section, actually you don't end up having to redo it too much. When you learn it, you know it. So a lot of my second playthrough for this video, because I decided to do the video in between the 2 days I streamed the game, a lot of my playthrough afterwards to catch up with the first half of it so I didn't have to use the VOD ended up being so clean because I just played the game and I knew exactly what I was doing that I had to go back to the VOD to show me messing up. Most of the second half I actually recorded as I was streaming it on the Sunday, so you won't see much of the Twitch clips from then on. Also, just because it upsets me, the reason the model freezes so much is my computer wasn't really having a fun time during the heat wave. I really shouldn't have been streaming on this day. It was like 35 degrees. My PC kept freezing. The model kept dying. Mix It Up died. You can see the chat died as well. It was a whole thing, which is actually why I turned on Heart of Darkness, because apparently I hated myself enough that Heart of Darkness seemed like the best idea in the middle of a heat wave when my PC and I was both melting. So yeah, that's why there's a lot of Twitch clips. Go look at my Twitch though. My Twitch is fun. So much here that Alice, bless her heart, I say through gritted teeth, asked for the death scream to be a sound command on my stream, which I obliged them with instantly. Don't say I don't give the people what they want. I have sound commands on my stream. They're terrible. Go watch my streams while spamming them, because I never put cooldowns on them either. They are also loud because no one tells me when things are properly balanced. As my regulars are extremely chaotic, you'd love them. Go join them, especially Candle. He's amazing. Very often I'll ask if this is too loud and he'll say no, make it louder, and then I find out it's making people's ears bleed. I can't tell the difference. I have my sound turned down. I can't help what Candle has told me to do. You guys need to regulate that more for me, because I'm incapable of doing it myself. So for me, this area stops the balance of being fair and challenging and just turn into frustrating for a number of reasons. You have a bunch of screens, but I found it easier just to go up. Why? Well, you see, you have to stun the branches. You can't just get rid of them, but they don't stay stunned for very long either, and they do end up in your blind spot, so it isn't as easy as just stunning one and then the other and quickly moving. Getting between two is annoying. This one, when I was back on my way up, I gave up even trying to stun it as it was completely in the blind spot and just fell down hoping for the best and that I'll grab hold of something, which thankfully I did. What is even worse though is that whilst these will have you slipping and sliding down the mountainside, they put these branches on screens with worms. Yes, worms. You must deal with worms. It's horrible. It wasn't bad enough to have one annoying mechanic. You then have the most horrible of all the enemies waiting for you to just slip a little so they can pop out and instantly kill you. How fun. The worst of everything. Then when you finally have enough of falling to your death and you figure out what you need to do, the game sends out spiders. I love spiders. My arachnophobia thanks the game for giving me horrible worms and then horrible spiders, shadow monster things. Now, to be fair, at this point you don't have to worry about them. In a second you will, but this is generally just a race up the mountain. But I've also missed one puzzle. My personal best part of this extremely annoying area, as well as being yet another mechanic they introduced and do nothing with. On this screen, rocks will start falling on you. When you make it up having missed the rocks, again with tight hitboxes on them, so be careful, you'll find that these three guys are hitting the ground, making the rocks fall. Fantastic. And that wasn't a sarcastic fantastic. That was a genuine fantastic. This was something used earlier, where you had one guy hiding, so had to wait till the bigger guy hit the ground to kill him. It's also used in a second as well, where one guy hits the ground and you fall off the cliff. But this is the only time that hitting the ground has an environmental hazard attached. You climb so much in the game that this is such a great way to give you hazards whilst climbing. The thing is, every climbing section does tend to be unique, but what makes it unique often never comes back either. Though, that being said, I am happy the branches never return. Getting to the top though, you will start to fall upwards. Andy now lands in the lava zone. This is starting to sound much like a Sonic game or Andy taking a trip through an extremely hardcore Crystal Maze clone. There was one puzzle I hated in the lava zone, so look forward to me crying about that. But as you can imagine with the name it has, the lava zone is where you will find yourself coming face to face with lava. Meaning the floor is no longer safe ever, really. There's a lot of climbing to be had, a lot of small platforms to stand on, and a lot of lava. I'm a little ahead of myself though, because this area actually starts off with clearing out screens of shadows then learning about switches, or buttons. Yes, Heart of Darkness has buttons, probably because they are so simple to implement, they end up being a mechanic that is introduced now then stick around for the rest of the game. Switches do all sorts of things, so there's a bit of learning what they will and won't do. Here you'll have one switch in the first area that puts down the back pillar on a timer, whilst the switch on this screen will put the pillar in the front down. You need to time this correctly and make sure to either run over the switch on this screen while the pillar is up so that it goes down, or jump over this button to make sure that the pillar stays down and make your way into the main area. And I have noticed I keep using switch and button. I'll probably keep doing that. They're buttons, but they're also switches. I will have no one tell me there's a difference between a button and a switch. They're buttons, but they're also switches. Now is when you'll be introduced to the annoyance of the spiders. These guys will swing themselves around, leaving green goo on the handholds. The goo even has its own animation as it slips down the screen. It is pretty cool. Holding onto the goo will make Andy lose his grip and fall down the wall. Again, pressing and holding jump will let you grab onto something below you. Just this time, most of the walls are right above lava, so you don't necessarily have time to grab anything. To give the spiders credit, they are much easier to kill than worms in some ways. Whilst they do scuttle about quite often, when they do get bored and inevitably go in for the attack, they will always start their attack by getting on your level before running at you and jumping over you. It gives you plenty of time to stop, aim, then shoot them. That being said, when they are teamed up with worms, flying dudes, or just about anything else, they become annoying fast. Oh, and the goo doesn't disappear either when it reaches the bottom of the screen. Oh no, of course not. So if you do go off one screen to avoid it, it will just inevitably drip down on you anyway. It does disappear after you've touched it once, but when there are multiple spiders, the walls can and will become slippery very fast. I did like this screen though. You need to get to the right of the screen, just there are two ways off to the right. The top half and the bottom half. As the top half doesn't look half as dangerous, you'll go there first and find that you're walled in, with a big enough gap for you to shoot out of, and hopefully clear the next screen of enemies. I genuinely love that the game gives you this chance, as facing all these together whilst climbing would have been a death sentence. Climbing around here isn't fun at all. Not only are you going to be faced with worms, but now you have spiders as well as the lava. Often you'll find one or two spurts of lava blocking your way. The only good thing about the lava compared to everything else is that it is predictable. It will have the same amount of moves and the same hitbox every time. So, for example, on this screen, which I hate, they do one big spurt, then two small ones before you can move between them. Before we actually get to that screen though, there's another cutscene.
Oh, little doggy, don't you like your new home? I'm so sorry!
Whilst I just didn't want you to miss a cutscene, I do want to point out once more that they used the shadows in this to show vicious attacking Whiskey. Even in the cutscenes, do they think about the impact of shadows in Darkland, with how they can be manipulated to do things for you. Yet, once more, it just isn't something that you ever see come up again in the game. But yeah, back to this screen. This screen also actually proves to me that it isn't just the lava that is timed, but actually the enemies too. You see, you have to clear the top first in this section, because enemies will come out of the cave in the top right if you don't. I mean, they do come out if you do as well, but what I mean is they're timed to come out as you go across the screen. So it's easier to do it at the top first and kill them, than try to time the lava below and get killed by them anyway. The first, which I guess is the warning enemy, comes as you become level with the first platform up top. After reaching this bit in the foreground on the second platform, the rest in the room will then come out as well. You can kind of time it to hit them as they fly over your head, but it's a tight timing thing. You'll get it sometimes, you won't get it sometimes. You know what it's like. With that all said, I despise this area. It isn't even hard. It isn't even as annoying as the climbing with the branches and the worms. No, this is a different kind of annoying. This is a skill issue. See, you have to go down the bottom to move the seed to the other side of the screen. This means you have to time jumping over the lava once to go to the right and clear out the enemies. Then jump back over to the left to start climbing. Then, again, underneath you have to time it again to get to the seeds. Being careful not to just run into this lava spot on the second screen here, or you'll have to do it all over again. Then you have to do all of this again to go back up and around to get to the top of this screen. Just here's the bit that I really struggled with. Whilst climbing, you don't move too well. I've said that before. Also, jumping off of things can be a bit annoying as well, which I've also mentioned. So when these guys come down from the top and start shooting at you, for me personally, I don't want to be sat on the wall, else I won't be able to dodge them. But getting off the wall can be a pain in and of itself. I found jumping to the right into the wall as soon as I got to the top of the tree, falling to the bottom of the screen, then timing climbing back up was the best way to do it. But this took me so long. I could not even begin to tell you how long this took. It was horrific, and I know most of it was just down to me not getting on with the climbing and the combat and stuff like that, but man, it annoyed me so much. What annoyed me even more was when I found out this was pretty much the end of the level. Then we get a cutscene with Amigo.
Andy, help! Amigos need you! Look!
What's wrong?
We're tired! His magic broke! Help!
But I can't. I've got to find whiskey.
Andy, we cannot touch ground! We make shadow turn us bad! Malo!
Come on, amigo. Let's help.
No, Andy! Too late! Turn in!
Hey, are you okay? No! It's one of them! Oh, thanks, amigo. Go! Okay, guys, we gotta do something. Let's get the magic rock! Magic rock! Hey, it's right there, guys! Down there! See it? Down there!
Magic, wow!
Hey! What's happening?
This is where the game tried to do something with the story to be fair on it. For some reason, Amigo's race can't touch the ground here, else they'll turn into shadow monsters. Whilst I would say that explains the flying guys, this guy doesn't look like the flying guys right off the bat. I guess it's because we usually see the small sprites and this is a much bigger 3D render. But like, it doesn't look right. But at the same time, I think that's what they're getting at. It makes sense that all the enemies are made out of other things' shadows, but why does Andy's shadow not get affected by this? See, they tried. I do appreciate that they tried. I just think at this point, it asked a lot more questions that it actually answered in the end. Also, the game doesn't have boss fights. Not even the final boss fight is really a fight, but this could have been a really cool, emotional fight. Whilst we haven't really gotten to know Amigo and his village, we are kind of connected to them. You could have had us fight them with Amigo. Plus, actually, wait a minute. These guys are whining about being tired, but the moment this guy, their friend, turns into a monster, then Andy just randomly announces that they should go and get the power from the meteor. They are all re-energized. What is that all about? Why did he have to drop on the floor? They look really dramatic at this point. Amigo once more will drop Andy down, and then the floor moves and we disappear. Like pretty much every area in the game, this will instantly punish you if you don't start moving and reacting before you have time to even figure out what you are moving and reacting to. You see, this area is made up of lots of pillars. These pillars move, Andy will be squished. This is a fast-paced area. I really enjoyed this area so much. You can't stop to look around or react, so you're gonna die a bunch as you slowly figure out what they want. You jump down here, then step back on this pillar behind you that drops you down again. Then there is a seed on the floor that you need to first be able to figure out is there on the floor before reacting fast enough to turn it into a tree to block this pillar from killing you. On the right, there is a switch that you can press and it drops down this pillar. This really fast-paced area, this fun area, it's over. Never again to be seen. GG, you've done it. No more pillars. There will be things that move up and down and squish you if you get too close to it and stuff like that. But this fast-paced, well-thought-out puzzle, that's it. That's the end. It was like 3 screens long. You enjoyed it. Well, fun for you. You don't get it again. No game. I love this. Why didn't we have more of this? Is one thing I love about the Oddworld games. Those moments where you just have to move and start thinking instinctively. Give me more of this, less of this. Yes, the next part of this level was shooting at things to slow us down from the very fast-paced 2 minutes we got. It made me sad. That was also such a unique way of using the seed as well. The only other unique thing they do is have one where the shadow attacks you, so you have to move it to the side where there is no wall to use it, and again, it's only ever used once. But that would have been a really cool thing to implement more often. I guess this is also kind of interesting. It is the first time in the game you have to crawl all the way to one side of the screen to grab the seed, and crawl all the way back again. It's a small thing, but as I said, it's the only time you do it. You'll be keeping that finger firmly pressed on the down button throughout this entire section, or this screen. It's only one screen. This seed then is used to raise this pillar here, which holds the meteor that you found at the beginning of the water level. Yes, looping design, gotta love it. You're back to the water area, just not for long.
Bravo, Andy! Bravo!
Now, I have to confess, this goes nowhere, but I do love it for the tiny bit it is important. Like, Andy gives Amigo and his friends the ability to fight for themselves, and you get this very small scene where you're fighting the flying dudes, half aware that the flying dudes are probably some of their friends, with Amigo and his buddies flying around fighting as well. Though I do have to question if the superpowers are really needed. This guy here just goes right up to one in the cutscene and then smashes someone to death. It is a small section, and when you have it cleared, Amigo and his buddies having powers never comes up again. That is for a reason. That being said, Amigo will fly Andy off to the final part of the game.
We've got the power! Let's rattle somebody! After it, boys! Let's boogie!
Yeah! Boogie!
Sorry, guys! Watch it!
What boogie?
Good shot! Watch out! Okay, drop me down there! See, amigo? Those guys weren't so tough!
Mi vamos, Andy! Help amigos!
Okay, I'm going back to find whiskey!
We're in the Dark Lord or Dark Master's lair, whatever he is. I don't know what he is. He's really unimportant, being the main bad guy. Andy will also come face to face with a new enemy type. These are armored shadows. Take them out and they'll turn into 2 blobs on the floor. You must then take out the 2 blobs or they will revive again into 2 more monsters. Meaning if you have one guy and you shoot him into 2 blobs, he'll become 2 guys. So make sure to clear them out. They have 2 attacks as well. The normal fireball that they shoot at chest height, so Andy has to duck. Then a forward charged attack Andy has to jump over. They can be annoying if you don't take out the blobs and end up spawning more than you sometimes started with. Overall, though, they are easy to deal with. This puzzle, though, was tedious and badly signposted. A terrible way to start the final area, but kind of how the final area started to feel in general. It just was tedious. You see, you've been programmed to believe that when you have things like chains, you need to slowly move over them, right? So on this screen, you'll tiptoe to the middle, take out the flying guys that attack you, then continue to the right to find this room. This room is awful. It has guys on the ceiling that you need to deal with. If they fall on top of you, it is an instant death. You also have 2 of these guys at the other end, the armored ones. If you're trying to take them out, but the ceiling guys drop in front of them, or walks in front of them when you're shooting at the blobs, you can end up with multiple of these armored dudes. Not only that, a small guy is at the bottom of the screen, meaning you can't retreat that way and clear them out. I did manage it once, but every other time he just grabbed me from the top of the climb and ate me. Now, you can actually clear this room out. I don't know if you can then fully do everything you need to get to the next area, because I didn't. You see, in my frustration, I actually ran over this chain thinking that would be fine, just it wasn't, and I fell down here. This is the first time you've had something like this chain, with an area below it, so if you're being careful, you won't notice it is there potentially for a long-ass time. I still tried to sort this room out first, then died a few times to the next room, got annoyed, so dropped down to see what was happening down here. This is a switch-heavy area. I keep calling them switches, as I said before, they're buttons, but they're switches, it doesn't matter. Stop talking about buttons and switches. Dropping down here takes you under, obviously, where that annoying screen is. You'll have to defeat some guys before getting to this screen. Now, we haven't had to climb on bricks or chains yet, so you might fall down the middle. This button in the middle will open the floodgates to the left and the right, leaving you in the middle of a bunch of enemies. What you actually have to do is grab hold of the bricks, then climb down on these chains, pushing this button, which only opens the left gate, letting you clear the left area out before clearing the right. This is just one big loop, and the checkpoints aren't terrible, but they aren't great either. You are basically always trying to find the next button to press to open the next door. So, how do you get past this room, which is the one that frustrated me and made me go down the bottom anyway? Because you need to get to this room to be able to figure out anything else. All you end up doing down on the bottom is clearing it out. Well, the answer was timing. The pink thing under this one kills you. If you step on it, the big thing comes down and splats you. But these 2 things, and again, I'm sorry, I have no better word for them, they're timed. So you find the opening, then run, jump over the pink thing, and keep running. I guess overall, the area isn't awful. I think the final area does suffer from one too many enemies just to pad out the areas. These armor guys are hard enough to deal with. Having tons of things in the way that could block you removing them is tough. But having this checkpoint of killing them nowhere near this room means that even if you wanted to learn this room with the things moving up and down, you just can't. You are forever stuck in this room fighting these guys. Plus, as I said, the first time you fall down here is going to be by pure accident. So, whilst you might notice you do have things to do here, and it isn't just death, you still might want to head to the right to figure that room out. I genuinely feel it is the one time they left what order you do things open to the player to decide, but for me personally, it just made the area that much more frustrating. Funnily enough, the next room I want to talk about is just as bad. This is one of those puzzles that you'll either get or you'll have to wait for a hint. A hint, you say? Yeah, the game has a baked-in hint system, so if you die multiple times to the same problem, it'll just outright tell you how to do it. Meaning, the game knew some of these systems they had in place weren't signposted at all, and potentially were difficult to figure out. There was a part of me that when I realized I couldn't kill this guy down here, wondered what would happen if I just spawned a lot of them. I mainly was thinking for the content because that would just be funny on stream, but it ended up being what I actually had to do. You see, knowing this game, no matter how many of anything is running around on screen, do the worms ever eat anything other than Andy? Here, though, you are meant to go against the instincts of killing off the armored guys. I mean, you couldn't anyway because they blocked them off. And instead multiply them so that the worms will be distracted enough eating them. Just as I said, there is no other area where having a bunch of things on screen with spiders makes them eat them. I guess it might be the uniform, because they are wearing something, they see them as food and not just shadows, I guess. Is that the only reason they have armor on? I don't know. But I am now trying to explain a game mechanic that the game didn't even bother to explain. I'm trying to find the answers behind the lore of why the worms are doing this. The game never gave you that. It is the only time I feel the game really did have a tell and not show, because it for sure didn't show, and I would never have gotten it if it hadn't started to tell me. How at least the things like having to hold on to jump to grab onto things is in the manual. This isn't in the manual either, from what I remember from reading it. Even Shin started to guess at what I had to do. This was a good few hours into my stream. By this time, Shin usually has stopped paying any attention to whatever the heck I'm doing. But he was even there trying to second guess it. When you get through all of this though, you do finally walk into a room with Vicious. Many other smaller guys are there and will grab hold of you, and then you'll get this cutscene.
You'll see what real pain is when the master gets here.
We're now back together with Whiskey, but also in prison. You can't attack Vicious, you can't pet the dog. 0 out of 10 game. Your only clue now on how to get out is this seat above you. It doesn't look like you can break through to get to it, but apparently you just can. One charged attack and the seed is in your cell, and then you can make your way out, but without Whiskey because he can't climb. He's a dog, he doesn't have hands. Then this happens. Damn the worms. Always the worms. I hate them so much. This was so unexpected. To be fair, that was a really well-spawned worm, but I hate it. This is the only other time you'll want to spawn a bunch of the armored dudes to distract the worms. It isn't a hard puzzle to get through, but as I said, it's a very well-timed worm attack. Now you'll have to face more enemies to clear a path forward, find more buttons to press, some bricks to climb, and then you're clear of this section.
Why do I always get these jobs? Master, look! The magic rock! Now I've got the power!
Oh, you have the power, do you? Well, not for long.
Just a joke!
So, funny thing, when I'm streaming, I don't wear headphones, but that means I have to have my speakers down when I'm streaming, so I barely could hear anything that was happening. I'm also deaf, so the sound balancing in the cutscenes is really, really bad. Like, seriously bad. Even when I did have the sound right up, the music is so overwhelming to the voices sometimes. When Vicious got his powers and the Dark Lord decided to shoot the heck out the meteor to take his powers away, I didn't even begin to imagine that I had lost my powers too. So, when I dropped down here, I was very surprised to see that I didn't have powers and then got killed in the confusion. What you actually have to do here is jump over the fireball, which will destroy the wood plank under your feet, then fall in. With your lack of powers, we're now in for a very short movement puzzle. You have to hit the ground legit running, jump over this guy who's just hanging out here, slow down fast enough you don't fall into this pit, slowly make your way across this chain before having to crawl a little bit. This is a very short and sweet movement section that I really appreciated. It goes hand in hand with the pillar area being extremely short, but I loved learning it. You're bound to die once or twice unless you have super reflexes, because you just can't anticipate what is coming next. It is short and sweet though, so you never get bothered having to redo it from the checkpoint. With all this done, you will come back around to the top of the area where you began. Now though, the bottom pillar doorway thing, whatever it is, are gone, so you can run through, fall through a different hole, then see the beauty of the whole game looping back on itself to the beginning. You get eaten. But this isn't just some random fat dude. No, no, no. This is the guy that ate our gun at the beginning. And because we were swallowed whole this time instead of crunched like at the beginning, we get to pick up the gun inside of him and shoot our way out. Not only that, but look at this animation. Every Everything from us lighting him up from the inside to him exploding, then finally Andy having to remove part of the dead shadow skin off of him is frame by frame just wonderful. I love it. It is also good that I really like this because this section killed me so much. I saw this animation many times. Many times. This by far is the second worst combat section in the game. I die so often here, I started to really get frustrated with it all. This isn't a clear the wall of enemies type of wave. This is a find a path out of the wall of enemies kind of thing, and it is tedious. I need a new word. I've used tedious too much. I quite like laborious. Laborious. It was laborious. It probably wasn't, but I like that word. I looked it up. It seems a good word. That word. If you stand still too long on the left, then things start spawning behind you. Things fall from the ceiling, and the worst of it is that unlike the meteor powers, the energy gun beam wobbles about. It doesn't hurt too much, but it just made you feel weaker again. I don't think that was the case, but man, there were so many enemies to fight, I hated every moment. Thankfully, the very next screen is the checkpoint, because then you come face to face with these three guys, and they aren't easy to beat either with the laser gun. Much better than the walls of enemies behind them, but you have to take them all out to sort out the bottom buttons here, and again, they can spawn more of themselves if you don't get rid of the blobs, and the laser beam won't always point at them, so yeah, enjoy. Then behind them is even more enemies. Seriously, this part becomes more about combat than anything else. Sadly, the combat is the least fun part of the entire game. Any screen with ceiling crawlers become one of my worst nightmares. They get in the way of fighting anything else. They drop on you and insta-kill you. It's awful. It is so tiresome, boring, and uninspiring compared to the rest of the game. It also doesn't get any better going forward. Actually, I am wrong. It does get a little better for a short period, because when you've gotten through all of these guys, you come face to face with Vicious again.
Okay, pal, you got a microsecond to get my dog before I blow your nose for good.
Wait, please! I don't know where your little doggy woggy is really. But listen, can we make a deal? I've got a plan that's beautiful, really. Look, we join the pieces of the meteor together. See that? And we throw it in the black hole, right down on him. And hey, it's a bye-bye pet brain.
Okay, but you stay here while I get the rest of the pieces.
So now we have to help Vicious put together the meteor once more. This is your final puzzle of the game. As it is the final puzzle, it is kind of disappointing, sadly. Now, it isn't bad, but it also doesn't use any of the interesting or inventive mechanics the game has shown off so far. Just kind of having this very small get the meteor pieces back to Vicious gauntlet. Because Andy doesn't pick things up, the rooms are full of holes you have to kick the meteors through. There are some interesting button puzzles using a crawler to make sure the buttons you want to press are being pressed. One of them you can only get via shooting it up and down these platforms, which was pretty cool. But there are only like 3 or 4 of the pieces to grab, the first of which is just sat here in the next room anyway. I do like that Vicious points us in the directions like we have anywhere else to go. You also get a bit of a cutscene every time you bring one back to show him putting them back together.
Now it's my turn!
It is a very well put together puzzle. This entire area is pretty compact, which makes it less daunting than other areas. There aren't many enemies, and unless, like me, you get silly with these traps here, you won't need to fight too much, as it just isn't a dangerous area, but it feels like the perfect time to have made a really cool puzzle that made you really use the shadow mechanics and some other things that you had to do in the game so far. Just no. Kick stones to Vicious, and then this happens.
So be careful, it's the last piece. Goody. Well, now what? No. Yes. A bit's missing. There's always some tiny little bit missing. Nuts. Look at banana. Oh, goody. There it is. On the bridge. We have to have it. It's mine. Bye. Bye, little doggy woggy. Morons. You have a microsecond to find my little doggy woggy. Well, where's your little doggy woggy gone now, huh? Where is he? Using all the money you'll save on dog food.
So we have one shard left, and let me tell you, the finale of the game is lackluster. You start with these two guys who are generally just filler. They are there to pad out the playtime. There is no point to them other than to make you fight them. I mean, I guess that is all any of these guys are here for, but you know what I mean. If they weren't there, it wouldn't be so bad, but you will die at least once or twice till you know the trick to the final boss fight, which is a phrase I'm using very loosely. It is not a boss fight. After these two guys, you have the start of the bridge. It is tilted upwards, so you will need to stand your ground against these guys. When they are done, you start clearing out the next page, just for Tenmu's Emperor Zurg over here to appear. He'll send 2 fireballs at you from time to time, but he always seems to do it on the right side of the screen, so if you just stand to the left, keep the wall of enemies at bay, then double jump over the fireballs, you'll be fine. Then, there is a third screen, of much the same, just 2 armored guys are here now too. Nice. Great. Wonderful. When you beat everyone on the bridge, this guy just leaves? Yeah, that's your final boss fight, guys. GG. Andy then walks up to the end of this bridge, like Frodo in Mount Doom, and grabs sort of the last piece of meteor just for this to happen.
Hey, I've got it!
Oh, God.
Oh, sorry. No, don't! You kill us all!
Hasta la vista, bad breath!
Are you ready now to face the heart of darkness?
Andy!
What's the matter, Andy? Afraid of the dark?
Oh, no. You haven't finished yet. In what is probably the most pointless end scene a game could ever have, you have to bat away these shadow demons, making sure to miss the hands that slam down on you, till your mum comes and takes you out of the dark. Yeah, this game is about Andy fighting his fear of the dark somehow. It is not as inspiring a story as Pajama Sam was. In fact, this last screen with him in his treehouse, I know it's his treehouse, it reminded me greatly of the scene with Sam and Darkness in his closet. The thing is, Pajama Sam obviously was aimed at children to not be afraid of the dark, and it did a good job of making you realize that the dark isn't that scary. For some reason, Andy's not going to be scared of the dark after this. This was terrifying! I'd be even more scared of the dark if I knew the shadows were gonna eat me. After you've done this, though, you get the true ending. Or, I mean, the actual ending.
here.
Wow, Whiskey! Are you alright?
Now, you were supposed to be looking after him instead of playing up here by yourself. It's late. Come on, boys. Time for dinner.
Okay, Whiskey, let's eat.
Okay, boys. It's bedtime.
Oh, Mom.
Brush your teeth. Wash behind your ears.
Yes, Mom.
Both of them. Good night, Angel. Sweet dreams.
Night, Mom. Afraid of the dark? Okay, boy? Night, Whiskey.
What's this?
Junko! Hey, hola! Amigo face? Amigo face! 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 Amigo face!
Junk.
I'll let the credits play behind me a little because the credits themselves have so much character to them. They use Vicious like some kind of bargain bin Squidward, trying to make everything about himself, and I love it. Like, honestly, it is cute as heck. I love Vicious after all this. He's the only character that had any kind of personality. Well, I guess other than Amigo, who you also see at the end of the cutscene messing with the wreckage of Andy's spaceship. Again, the whole thing seems to have been Andy's attempt at not being afraid of the dark, but the game never really portrayed that. I get that he was meant to be afraid of being put in the dark in the classroom at the beginning, but the game also kind of makes you believe all the things that happened to him were real, hence Amigo still being at the end looking at the wreckage. So how did Andy get back? Why did this stop him being afraid of the dark? What did we just sit through? Someone in my chat, I think it was Jumbo, it was very definitely probably Jumbo, said that the game could have been done without any dialogue, and at the time I disagreed, but looking at the actual story we did get to talk about, I'm sorry Jumbo, you were probably right. There's one last surprise though. The game did come with 3D glasses, and at the end they do have this cute little scene and then replays the ending in 3D. Things like this prove that the 6 years of putting this game together meant something to a team of people. Every 3D cutscene was beautiful, the game looked and sounded amazing, there were so many animations on Andy's movement, and then he ended with a whole 3D rendition of that cutscene. I mean, it was already 3D, you know what I mean. You cannot ever accuse the people that worked on this of not loving the project. So how did it go so wrong? Heart of Darkness isn't a bad game, far from it. It is a well thought out game with plenty of great puzzles to solve. That being said, it is a game that felt like it had no real meaning behind it. I think my final feelings on it is more that they had a bunch of crazy ideas to make and didn't really care if any of those things put together made a good game. If you had seen demos of it years beforehand, I can really understand why you might think it hadn't been worth the wait for it when it released. Especially as the end section just kind of felt like people had given up. I'm not saying they had, but the final stretch of the game felt completely uninspired compared to what came before it. You had very compact, well-designed levels with puzzles that either had you thinking fast to get through long stretches of movement-based action, or exploring every nook and cranny to figure out a puzzle. They jammed so many cool ideas into the game, but nothing ever really got more than a moment to shine. So many cool mechanics were used once then forgotten, characters were never given any identity or story to really tell, and the world as well explored as it was by Andy was never given any lore to it to make us care for it. Do we need a lot of story in our platforms in 1998? Of course not, but when you have so many 3D cutscenes, you'd think there would be some stories. Not just that, but 3D platformers did have stories. They were very simple stories. You didn't need to overcomplicate it, but you didn't even try, really. Do we need all these concepts coming back in different puzzles? Actually, yeah, you do. That is what makes puzzle games fun. You learn about a concept that the game has, and it comes back over and over in more difficult variations of the puzzles you've already done. That's the whole point of them. You learn something so that you can put it to good use later on when it comes relevant again. This game didn't do that. While stylistically, Heart of Darkness had a strong identity and presence, its gameplay was average, with small sparks of greatness between waves of combat that was never very fun to get through. It felt like more work had gone into making the game look amazing, rather than making sure the story flowed through it or that the puzzles felt well done. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but there is this great block puzzle where you are climbing on the blocks, and every time you move, new blocks pop up. You have to back up on yourself and follow the path, and it's done once. Once! One wall has these bricks, but this is such a great way to mix up the countless amount of walls we have to climb, because you climb so many walls in this game. And let's remember, this game took 6 years to make, yet it still felt rushed. That's crazy stuff. Looking at this from the perspective of a kid in 1998, I can see this game getting a name for being frustrating. Whilst the checkpoints are kind, and it is mainly about learning the path and to hit everything correctly, it isn't sometimes as responsive as it needs to be, so depending on how much patience the person has, having to restart over and over to learn the perfect path might have been too much for people. I'm forever comparing it to Abe's Odyssey, and I feel like Abe's Odyssey and the Oddworld games in general just played better than this one, and the first Oddworld game came out a year before in 1997. I don't know anything about Another World. Apparently it's a really good game. I'll have to give it a look. But I just feel like there was so much they could have done with this, and they just didn't do it in the end. As you have heard me say countless times though, the combat was the worst part for me. It was just boring. It isn't even that the aiming was dire. It was horrible. But with how many enemies would be in these waves, and you never really being any stronger than you start off, these areas where you clear wave after wave of shadows just gets boring very fast. And I once heard a wise man say that games never want to be boring. Sadly, just shooting at waves of shadows is kind of boring. Heart of Darkness might have been one of the most stunning games I owned though. It looked absolutely amazing and had some great moments in it. As a kid, I obviously would have loved Amigo and the expressions him and his villager friends made. There is also this bit at the end of one of the cutscenes where the music turns into generic John Williams 80s 90s kid adventure music.
Down there! See, amigo? Those guys weren't so tough!
Me vamos, Sandy. Help amigos.
Okay, I'm going back to find whiskey!
Overall, the game relied more on ambient sounds than music to build up the feeling of every area, though. I honestly don't remember any noises from the game because I was so busy concentrating on everything I had to do. I think that helped, though, as it didn't distract from all the repeated sections I had to do. It was designed to give you the breath to actually learn the sections without having blaring music or really loud noises to annoy you. In 2026, this game can feel like a daunting task, and I do get that. You do have to sit and learn the sections, but the sections aren't long either. I had problems with jumping as well as the combat, but you might just not like climbing or find the underwater section annoying. It is still worth a look, and it still holds up mainly because as wacky as it looks, the game has a whimsy to it that you can't help but fall in love with. I genuinely had a blast reliving the game. Many people told me I was mad, but I finished the game in 1.5 streams, so who really is the mad one? Probably still me. I am pretty mad. It didn't take long to get in the swing of things, and as I said earlier, in some strange twist of fate, the game felt rushed and incomplete after 6 years of being in developmental hell. I might even go back and try to 100% it on retro achievements, but I'm sure I'll hate hard mode, so that's probably not gonna happen. That is all I have time for today, though. Thank you as always for watching. Please feel free to follow me on all my socials, which are linked below, and have a look at my Patreon if you'd like to support these videos, because these are the things I'm focusing on more. I've even started taking another day off of streaming, so YouTube is kind of my main focus over streaming at the minute. So if you like these videos at all, please come and support me in any way you can. Till next time, though, thank you as always, and bye-bye.